town as Hippie Dave Schultz. He's 73 years old. He's a homeless guy, homeless vet that lives in our community, Army veteran. And he had a small scooter. He had won scratch off. He had a little bit of money from a settlement. He had purchased a small scooter. He traveled all of our homeless resources. He was around town. People knew him. They knew him as Homeless Dave. He's got a daughter, a sister, an Army veteran. So he is sleeping under the awning at one of our local funeral homes. So over here on our slideshow, we're going to give you a picture of that, the Stone Brothers Funeral Home, right inside of Gifford. And so you can see on that photo, there's a little overhang. He was sleeping on there. Actually, 2 days previous to this, one of our deputies had encountered him sleeping under there and had a conversation about him not sleeping under there, which he actually did have permission from the folks at Stone Brothers. In discussing it with the detectives, they talked about how neat and orderly his bedding and all the things that he had, even as a homeless person, his Army training was still in place, that he was keeping everything neat. He wasn't one of these homeless people that was out there, putting trash all over the place and causing problems. He is one that was neat, orderly, so much so that Stone Brothers allowed him to sleep underneath of that awning. So on the morning of January 16th, Deputy Calger, and I have to give him absolute credit in this, he was doing a fantastic job being a patrol deputy in his zone, checking out things on a rainy night. He goes up underneath of that overhang and he finds our victim, Hippie Dave Schultz, dead. At the time, we initially thought it was a suicide, but after looking and finding out what happened, we realized that he had been stabbed multiple times underneath of that awning. And we also realized very quickly that it was actually a theft that occurred. His scooter was found on the other side of US 1. His identification, his wallet, all of those things were strewn about on the opposite side of US 1, and his phone was missing. So our detectives did an amazing job, good old-fashioned police work, hit the ground, doing grid searches, searching for that phone, using technology, using all of our available resources, our real-time crime center, our digital forensics, everybody was involved. And by the end of that day, we located our suspect, Eugene Bain, with our victim's cell phone in his hands. So I have a picture of him up here. This is Mr. Eugene Bain. We found him inside of an old packing house. It's an area along Old Dixie, not far from where Stone Brothers is at. Throughout the day, that cell phone was moving around in the Gifford area. We finally pinned him down inside of a locked room. We made entry in there. We were able to take him into custody, and he actually had our victim's cell phone in his hands when we brought him in. We brought him over, we interviewed him. Now here's the history of Mr. Bain. He's 65 years old today, as we speak today. When he was arrested on January 16th, he had only been out of prison for 33 days. He had done 6 years in prison for burglary. Throughout the course of his life, he's done 13 prison stints, convicted of 21 felonies. That doesn't include probation time, county jail sentences. That's prison time, 13 prison stints. Eugene Bain, 65 years old, is also a suspect in a number of other cases, cold cases. And some of those cases now, as a result of this arrest for murder, are going to be referred to our cold case committee, that we believe we may be able to actually pin him down as being involved in some of those as well. We arrested Mr. Bain for a second time yesterday on murder charges after he finally admitted to our detectives what happened on January 15th. So I want to give you just a little bit here on our slideshow. Again, this is our victim. There's his date of birth. Here's Mr. Bain and his charges. As you can see, he was charged with murder, burglary, assault and battery, grand theft auto, and tampering or destroy evidence. And I'm going to show you a video here briefly that is one of the items that helped us make our case. So when we initially brought Mr. Bain back to the sheriff's office, he said, no, I had nothing to do with it. Yes, I had his cell phone, but I had nothing to do with it. So of course our team did a search warrant, and underneath of his fingernails was blood. We sent that off to the lab. DNA shows that the blood that was under his fingernails was the blood of Hippie Dave Schultz. On top of it, we recovered this video. I'm probably going to need some help playing this. See if I can play it on here. Anybody over there, tech guys, know how to play this thing? Play? Is that it? Is it playing now? Touch the screen. So fancy. There he is walking. He's got our victim's cell phone in his hand, and he's got the victim's backpack on the front of him as he's walking along. So immediately his story of I found that cell phone in the Gifford area kind of goes away. The story of no, I never touched any of his stuff when he's walking on video with the backpack goes away. And I'll tell you this, our real-time crime center, our digital forensics, our detectives, crime scene, and road patrol all work together. All the things that I've done since I took office as sheriff to put in place are working the way that they were intended to do. And the reason I'm standing here today to tell you about this is because all of them are doing their jobs the way it's supposed to be done. And here we are a few months later with an amazing murder case for the state with a bow on top of it that they're going to take to our prosecutor, to grand jury, to get additional murder charges on this guy, to upgrade these murder charges, to show how serious this case is. And I will tell you, he was arrested on January 16th on 2 charges, failure to register and trespass. We did that just to get him in the system, just to get him booked in. He sat in our jail until March 25th when he actually fulfilled the terms of that. He actually did time served for those 2 charges. On March 25th, he was released and he went into the hospital for unrelated issues. Since he's been in the hospital, our team has not given up. They've gone in, they've interviewed him multiple times. He said, I still have some unfinished business with my daughter. I want to talk to her. Our team traveled to Miami. They met with his daughter. They put him in contact with his daughter. Because of the relationship that we built over the course of the last few months with this guy, yesterday, while he was in the hospital, he confessed to this murder. He said, I snapped. But we know exactly what happened out there. This guy, he's a killer. He's been a killer his entire life. He's done other murders. We're going to be reaching out to other jurisdictions. We know that of these 13 prison stints that he's done, on other occasions, he's gone to other jurisdictions. Up north, he's gone to other places. He's never spent much time in the community. Every time he gets rearrested and goes back to prison. We believe this guy is involved in multiple murders. We believe he's a cold-blooded killer, and we took a really bad guy off the streets today. He's in our custody. He's charged with murder, and we're going to do our best to be able to prove that not only that Hippie Dave didn't die in vain, but that we're going to be able to close some other cold cases as a result of this. With that, I'll take your questions.
And you mentioned that he was arrested multiple times, so 21 different stints here. Was he in your jail at all these times, or were the other counties?
He's been all over the place. This guy, the one thing I will tell you is that a number of the cases that we have that we're looking at are in the same area as this homicide that he committed. There are other cases that are in that area that are cold cases that we're definitely looking at him for. In this particular instance, he was released from prison 33 days after a 6-year stint, 33 days before killing Hippie Dave Schultz. And he went right back to that same area and killed this guy in cold blood. Hippie Dave didn't deserve it. He wasn't bothering anybody. He was living his life out there. So great that even the Stone brothers let him live underneath their awning. So he didn't deserve this. And so we're going to bring him justice. And I believe in the coming weeks and months, we're going to bring justice to some other victims that have been a victim of Eugene Bain.
Sheriff, again, how far back do these cold cases go? And do they, as you said, rise to the level of murder in some of these cases?
90s, and yes, murder. Yes.
So the suspect, he's connected to other homicides in Indian River County?
So he's been connected to a number of other crimes, not just homicides, but other crimes, sexual assaults, a variety of different crimes. And so over the years, technology has gotten better. And this guy has spent a lot of time in prison. He was somebody that wasn't necessarily on our radar, but he invited himself to get back on our radar by committing this homicide, and he is a prime suspect in a lot of cases right now. Other questions?
So do you think essentially the connection between them was just a robbery?
They're both homeless guys. Without a doubt, Hippie Dave had his scooter up underneath that awning. He had his other belongings underneath there. I mean, he had an army shirt. He had an army hat. Hippie Dave wasn't bothering anybody. And it's speculation on our part, but we believe that he was robbing him and in the middle of the night, and he may have woken up and he decided that he was just going to end his life right there. Stabbed him numerous times, killed him, left him for dead. And if it weren't for Deputy Cowger doing his job, encountering him, laying there, and found him dead, you know, it could have been days before we figured out, you know, what was going on there. I do want to give credit to Detective Daughtry, the entire team in the Real-Time Crime Center, Digital Forensics, all of our detectives, Crime Scene, Road Patrol. Sergeant Avila is the one who located the scooter on the other side of US 1. Really just all around, all our team is just doing an amazing job here, and this case is just one example of the great work that we're doing. Other questions? Thank you guys for coming up. How's that one?
Damn.
Yeah.
I'll put together a press kit once I receive all of the material, I'll send it out this afternoon.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Sure. Hey, so you guys know, I know I didn't say it on your video, but we've had the homicide of the domestic violence that happened down at the golf course. The double homicide and this one.